The first chosen extract is from the fictional book Cloud Atlas, written by David Mitchell. The second text, also known as Cloud Atlas, actually pertains to a big-budget Hollywood film adaptation of the aforementioned book. The two texts follow the path of a single soul as it reincarnates and lives out 6 vibrantly different characters whose stories span out across a few centuries. All of them are woven and intertwined with one another through foreshadowing and memory, ranging from the colonial era, an American notary along a Pacific voyage in the 1840s, all the way to the life of an archaic tribe hundreds of years beyond the collapse of the modern civilized world. Both texts encompass and find advantages in the use of different devices due to their differences in purpose. For instance, the film needs to simplify scenes in text, reducing or cutting out characters entirely, or modifying plot elements to create a comprehensible film that will appeal to a far larger audience than the book ever could. While some changes pay homage to the book itself, such as the film embodying reincarnation by reusing the same actors for different characters, even though the souls of the book reincarnate without such a limit, the two extracts I have chosen really differ due to the advantages and limitations of their respective mediums, despite revolving around the exact same scene. For the purpose of showing the dilemma of power figures when maintaining economic stability, Mitchell used zoomorphism and specific yet vivid diction, whereas the Wachowskis of the screenplay chose cutaways and increased action for the screenplay due to the different audience. Starting off with the advantages and literary usage of the book in the opening chapter, Mitchell's diction is extremely precise, almost as if he were trying to project imagery from his own mind into others through the use of language. In turn, this creates a controlled yet vibrant image for the reader. When Mitchell uses a wider range of devices, similar devices spread out, and the language does not become repetitive. With that stated, the most prominent literary devices regarding this extract have to do with his use of vivid diction and zoomorphism. These two devices not only stick out the most, but display the issue at hand. Starting off at the very beginning of the extract, Ewing writes down that Molyneux sizes up Altua like he was sizing up a mule. Prior context is not required to already determine that Molyneux looks down upon Altua, and their relationship is established immediately. It is recognizable that Molyneux is the figure of power who needs to make a decision for the well-being of his crew, and Altua, the mule, is a dispensable asset. Mitchell connects both devices, zoomorphism and vibrant visual imagery, in the final paragraph when the sailor exclaims that Altua has fishhooks for toes. Altua is objectified and compared to an instrument used for fishing, continuing the theme that Altua is the victim in the power relationship. Lastly, another literary device makes an appearance in the 5th paragraph of the book extract when Ewing describes the morning sun low over the horizon, illuminating the scene. The vibrant visual imagery of the new dawn helps to cement the mood of the scene, while Altua proves himself almost as if he were also a rising sun. This link exists as it is a reminder that Altua, an emerging beam of light, is proving himself unbeknownst to him to stay alive. The book is clearly able to define the relationship between Altua and Molyneux when a few simple devices stick out from the rest of the text. However, these devices differ greatly from how the film approaches the same scene. Because the screenplay text is adapted for use within a film, different literary devices make better use for a shift in diction. To adapt to a wider audience than the book, the screenplay uses advanced characterization and increased cutaways. Firstly, the movie structure differs from the book, as the formatting of the chapters in the book are too long and drawn out for what is supposed to be an exciting movie. To compensate for this, chapters are allowed to sandwich on top of each other in the film, cutting away every so often to another of the 6 at any given moment and characterized by a double dash. Due to its nature of instantly diverging to another scene, it can interrupt dialogue and actions. In the film adaptation, these cutaways generally cut to different eras, but may carry the theme and/or mood over the transition, such as in line 5 and 6 when Boerhaave pulls his trigger, but Boomstuk fires post-cutaway. The Wachowskis make good use of these cutaways to increase suspense, but it also develops a hidden effect. In the extract where Altua fights for his passage, despite his blatant skill, it cuts away for a moment as Boerhaave intends to fire his weapon. The suspense garnered by the cutaways builds up anticipation, and this is where the secret effect comes into play. The cutaway creates a subconscious bond towards Altua because the audience yearns for and is starved of a positive resolution. This supports Altua's arguments as he is a victim of power. Despite the fact that he is capable, the fragile microeconomy he resides in forces him to be a factor of potential economic unrest, in this case the ship and its resources, forcing Malinois to make this tough decision. Captain Malinois, unlike Altua, undergoes a major change during his transition from paper to screen. In order to adapt, his character goes under a faster characterization in which he is exaggerated to make him less boring or to make him more handy for the plot. For instance, in the book, he is much quieter and appears to think first before reaching conclusions. Malinois orders Boerhaave to ready the gun, but never orders to fire, allowing Altua to allow himself to show his skill and experience first. The book extract even describes him as impassive, even to Altua's proper identification of the sailmast, and later merely grunts his approval towards keeping Altua. Malinois in the film is much less stoic. He is much more aggressive and expressive. Although he becomes more presentable for the big screen, this deviates very much from the mood that he gave off in the book. Altua's, on the other hand, remains the same, so Malinois' exaggerated character emphasizes the juxtaposition between the two characters and their roles in society. In the film, Malinois actually orders Boerhaave to fire upon Altua, in heavy contrast to the book. As Boerhaave fires in the second line, though, he misses his shot, quote-unquote, wildly as Ewing intervenes. Although this is a departure from the originality of the book, the characterization allows viewers to see the other side of Malinois from the book, and showing the other side of the argument towards Malinois' position as a power role and the decisions he is forced to make to keep his economy in order. Strangely, Malinois' characterization also brings about a softer side. In the book, Malinois is not excited to have Altua join the crew, stating he would not pay him a quote-unquote single cent in the final two lines. In contrast to the screenplay, he seems less pessimistic, citing Altua as an addition and notifying the crew to make sure he quote-unquote earns his keep. While the Wachowskis chose to make Malinois a bipolar man is beyond most, but it gives the character a little bit of redeemability, perhaps shedding light on a possible solution to the global issue at hand if you put aside the attempted murder aspect. It should be clear now that the devices upon the screenplay explores characterization and cutaways help define the global issue. These devices, however, differ greatly from the book, and the link between the two are still not clear. In the way these two texts are structured, the global issue is actually displayed in multiple perspectives through both Malinois and Altua. Taking a glance at the perspective of each character allows someone to understand the issues that people of different classes face when it comes to power and economic stability, even in small environments such as a ship. Starting off with Malinois, his problem derives from his position of power as a captain. He's able to take care of his crew and he has to take care of his crew and create a sustainable environment for them as well as himself. The moral question is raised when Altua reveals himself, putting Malinois' crew into economic jeopardy. Malinois has to decide whether to off him for boarding illegally and mooching resources, or allowing him to become part of the crew at a cost of compromising the limited resources of others. No matter the outcome, someone is at loss. In the book, this is reflected from Malinois at the end of the extract refuses to give Altua a salary, suggesting a limitation on available money. At the end of the movie extract, while juxtaposing the tone of the book, Malinois suggests the sailors to keep an eye on Altua to make sure he is performing well enough to keep his life. Switching sides to Altua's perspective shows the victim's side of this struggle with power and economic stability. Altua's stance, while very different from Malinois, still reflects the same global issue. Altua is a victim of inequality due to higher power striving for a decent and stable economy. His situation is a lot like slavery, which was a coincidence considering he is a former slave. Because those who have power over him are stressed over making a decision of letting him go or allowing him in at the expense of others' comfort, Altua becomes a disposable asset. He is either stuck doing unpaid labor, which he settles with in the book in order to earn his passage, or getting killed. Now the link should be established between the book and the film, and their separate devices should be able to relate to the central global issue. The relationship between Malinois and Altua brings to light how decisions from power put stress on those trying to keep a stable microeconomy, whether it's a small community of sailors or a massive corporation, and being forced to make decisions like the above, oversaturating and under-rewarding, or leaving people out completely, regardless of their potential and skill. Despite generating their own moods and differing just well enough to have a different impact on audiences, both texts still call back to this issue. In the book with descriptive diction and zoomorphism, and in the movie with the quicker characterization and cutaways that cements a clear difference between Malnoy and Autua, more than the book could imply. While the limitations of the big screen and the short attention span of the audience has caused the movie to deviate from its intricate and detailed source material, it still succeeds in the sense that despite the different mood, altered characters, and an unnecessary suspense, the film still very well was able to convey the undertone that the book carried, in which the strains of the economy forces societies to make decisions on whether to include newcomers in need at the expense of the seasoned, or leaving them out completely to suffer.